n8n continues to make it easier and easier every single day to create AI agents. In this video, we'll be going over a full beginner guide on how to create your first AI agent, and I will aim to make it as simple as possible to understand so that you understand the entire thought process all the way through. So let's go. All right, so the first step is to go to n8n.io. I'll also leave a link in the description, and you can just go over here and click Get Started or sign in if you already have an account, and you will get a 14-day free trial. Okay, so once you're signed in, you can go over here to Overview, and this is where you will create your first AI agent. So let's go here and click Create Workflow. Okay, so the first step of every automation is a trigger. You need a trigger to start the automation. So something has to happen. There has to be information given to n8n to start the trigger. So you click this right here. For this example, we will use Telegram. So there's all kinds of different triggers here, but we're going to use onMessage. Okay, so we can close out of this. We don't need that right now. But this is our first trigger. So we will use a Telegram bot to communicate with the workflow. Okay, so once you're in Telegram, you're going to want to go to the search bar up here and search BotFather. Once you search BotFather, all you have to do is type /start. And then you're going to want to type /new bot. Okay. So then you have to name it. Let's just call it YouTube bot. So that's the name, and then you have to give it a username. So we can do YouTube bot 123 _ bot because you can't use a username that someone else has used. There you go, and it's going to give you a token. I'm not actually going to use this bot. I already have one set up, but you're going to want to copy this token right here by clicking on it. Go into your trigger by double clicking, and then where it says credential to connect with, you're going to want to hit create new credential. This is my current one. Create new credential, paste it in here, and hit save. Now you want to keep that to yourself because if someone accesses your token, they can access and control your bot. So that's how you connect to your Telegram trigger. So you can find your bot here at this link. You're going to want to click it and just send it a message like hi, and that's going to add it to your Telegram contacts. Okay, so after you sent your bot a message, now you can go ahead and hit test workflow. So what test workflow does, as you'll see soon, is it allows you to check the process and watch as things develop. And it allows you to make connections between the nodes much easier without having to know too much code. So if we hit test workflow and say hi, and there we go. Congratulations. There's your first AI agent. So there you go. It has been triggered successfully. And now we can move on to actually making it do something. Okay, so the first node you're going to want to add is a switch node. The reason we're adding the switch is so that we can have it understand text and voice. So double click into your switch node and then you'll see something like this. So for the first value, just hit rename. This is going to be for text. So right here, go to string and exists. Then you're going to want to drag this text right up to here. And the reason we do that is because now whatever message you send through, as you can see, I sent hi, because we dragged this and connected that to there, any message that is sent through is going to be linked to here. Okay. And then when it's linked to here and it exists, then you're good to go and it's going to go through and carry that information. Okay. So that is text done. All right. So now that we have the text done, we're going to add the voice section. So let's go here, name this to voice. And then again, string exists. Now we don't have the value. So that's an issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the bot. We're going to send a voice message. Hello. Doesn't matter what it is. Oh, okay, I didn't hit test workflow, but you can hit test workflow after and it's going to send the message straight through. As you can see, sent right through. And wait, it looks like it already identified it as voice. Anyways, so what you do is you take the file ID right here, place it right there. As you can see, message voice file ID. So now what's going to happen is every time you send a voice message, it's going to go through that section. Okay, so let's build the voice note first. Okay, so if we go to, you're going to want to search Telegram. And what we're going to do is when that voice file comes through, essentially, we're going to get the file, right? So what we're doing here, we're going to drag this file ID right there, and we can leave everything the same. So now what's happening is we're receiving the voice file, and then this is going to take the voice file from Telegram and bring it into n8n for us to do whatever we want with it, right? So what we're going to do with it is we are going to, not ChatGPT, OpenAI. We're going to go to OpenAI, and we're going to choose transcribe a recording, okay? So what this is going to allow us to do is now it's downloading the file, and then it's going to send it to OpenAI's API to take the file, figure out what was said, and then we'll move that on to the rest of our workflow. Okay, so this node isn't going to work on its own. You have to connect it to OpenAI's API first. So right here, mine's connected already, but you're going to have to hit create new credential, and then you're going to put your API key in here. So in order to get your API key, you have to go to this link. I'll put the link in the description. And then, yeah, so on the left here, API keys, and then you just click create new secret key. So you can give it a name, test, default project, and then you click create secret key. I'm not going to make one because I already made one. Once you copy it, you can't copy it again after you close the window. So make sure you just put it in here, click save. It'll go through all your workflows, and don't share it with anybody because then they can use your API credits. So API credits, if you go over to billing over here, all you got to do is add a little bit of money. I think you can add, the minimum's like $5. It'll last you forever. And also just keep in mind, if it doesn't let you pay, you might have to turn on auto recharge. And then once you pay, turn it off after. It was like a weird glitch that I got. But yeah, then you can just pay, and then it'll last you a while until you're doing like some crazy huge automations. Yeah, so once you copy that key, put it back into here, save, then it'll be all synced up and good to go. Okay, so now we're going to work on the text option. So for the text option, you're going to have to go to data transformation, add a new node, and edit fields, okay? So the reason you need this one is because if you just connect this one straight to the AI agent, it won't receive the text. So this just takes the text from the Telegram trigger, brings it over, and gives it to the AI agent. So go into here. Oh, we got to test it first, actually. So test workflow. Hi. There we go. It's been tested. Let me click here. Add input field. Just call it text, whatever. And I'll actually show you if we test this again. Test. You can see text is empty. So that's not going to give anything to the AI agent. But if we take this right here, yep, this is it, value, put that in there, test again, hello. Now, as you can see, it's recognized the text from the message and the text output has gone through. Okay, so now for the fun part, we're going to add the AI agent, which is what makes this special. So if you go to the plus over here, AI, and then click on AI agent, and then just click out of that. Now here you go, here's your AI agent. So you're going to want to add a chat model, which is essentially like a personality or the brain for your AI agent. So I'm just going to do OpenAI, account's already connected. I'm going to use GPT-4o mini. Mini means it's cheaper. So there we go, got the AI agent. And this is what makes it special because now you can get dynamic responses that are different. So compared to Zapier, for example, where it's just this happens and then this is your output. This is now the responses are different, so you can accomplish much different things. Okay, so now let's connect the agent and make sure it's working. So we're going to put these inputs onto here, and then we're going to go test workflow. So let's say hi. And as you can see, we got an error. So if we go into here, you can see it's set to connected chat trigger node, which we're not using. It's a different trigger node compared to Telegram. With the chat trigger node, you can chat directly in n8n, but we're not using that. So you got to swap this to define below, and then we'll take this text field from over here. Actually, this needs to be expression. right? And then we'll take this text field from over here and drop it straight into there. And this will also work for the OpenAI output because it's the exact same. It's still this JSON.text. So now if we test again, we say, hello, how are you? Double click, see the output. Hello, I'm just a program, so I don't have feelings, but I'm here and ready to help you. How can I assist you today? So let's also test the voice actually, because we haven't tested that yet. So if we say, hit test again, and then we say, what color is the sky? As you can see, it's going to go through, transcribe. It's going to talk to the model. The color of the sky can vary depending on factors such as time of day, weather conditions, etc. You get the idea. And now we know that both work. So what's next is we need to connect another Telegram node so that we can get these responses directly in Telegram from the bot, right? So you're going to want to go to send a text message. All right, so now we have send a text message here. So from this node right here, as you can see, there's an error. So we need the chat ID and the text. So make sure you've done a test workflow, and then you can go over here to the Telegram trigger. And if you search through here, you can go to chat ID, drag that right into there. And then for the text, that's going to be our AI agent output. So whatever our AI agent is telling us, we're going to put that into the text. So now it's going to send a message to this chat ID, which is the one we were just sending messages to. And then the text that we're going to be sent is from the AI agent. So let's test that right now. Hey there. Hello, how can I assist you today? So there's a watermark on this. So in order to fix the watermark, you're just going to want to go back into here. You can add this property right here called append n8n attribution and turn that off. And then when you test again, say, hey bro, how are you? As you can see, the watermark, whatever you want to call it, is gone now. Okay, so this is essentially just like a chat GPT, but in Telegram. So now we have to make it actually useful. But before we add tools, let's check out the memory. So if you test the workflow now, and we say, what is 10 plus 10? Gonna process it, 10 plus 10 equals 20. If we test it again, and we say, what was your last message? It has no idea. So what we have to do is go to memory, just click simple memory, and then change this to define below, because again, we don't have a chat trigger node. And then for the key, you can just write any string of letters and numbers. And so for example, test 1, 2, 3. Now, if you go into other workflows in n8n and you type in here test 1, 2, 3, it will essentially be the same memory, right? So context window length, how many past interactions the model receives as context. So now we have test 1, 2, 3 in there. And let's try that again. Test. What is 9 plus 10? 9 plus 10 equals 19. What was your last message? Make sure we test the workflow. What was your last message? There you go. Now it remembers. Okay, now that we have the memory, we have the chat model, and everything else is set up, let's start adding in some tools. So if we go here to tool, let's go search Gmail. And then now we can connect Gmail. So at the top here, again, you got to connect your account. So mine's already connected. You'll just click create new credential. Gmail's the easiest. You just sign in with Google. So yeah, now that it's connected, now this is where n8n is getting easier and easier and easier. So you see this button right here, let the model define this parameter. These are features that they're adding that are allowing the AI agent or the chat model, whatever you want to call it, to write the subject, write the message, determine who to send the message to, So for this, we are going to, for the subject, we'll let it define that. And for the message, we'll let it define that as well. So for the email, we want to do a text email, just a normal email. And this is going to send messages. So we're going to rename it to send, right? I'm just going to put my own email here so we can test it first. Okay, there's my own email. Oh, let's also do this so we don't get that watermark. And there we go. We've got sent. Now, let's go ahead and test that. Let's say send an email to Cohen about chicken. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not showing up in the background here. So the workflow froze for a second. I'm not really sure why. I just reset it. But basically, here's the email. As you can see, chicken discussion. Hi, Cohen. I wanted to talk to you about chicken. Let me know your thoughts. Best, your name. So as you can see, this is just to ourselves, but there is an error. It's not saying my name. So how we fix that is, if we double click on the AI agent, we can come down here and go system message. So what this is this is essentially what the agent will read before it goes and does its actions. So what we want it to know is my name is Cohen, right? So my name is Cohen. There we go. And now let's send another message. So let's test the workflow. I'm going to say send an email to Bob. It doesn't really matter if the email is my name, because if I send it to myself and then I'm also the recipient, it won't work. So we'll say send an email to Bob asking how his day was. Okay. There we go, sent through. So because in the Gmail node, it's only my email, it's just going to always send it there. So if we check our email here, let's refresh. How was your day? And as you can see, best Cohen. Now it's putting my name at the end because we taught it to. Now we have Gmail on here, but we don't want to just send emails to ourselves or just to one person. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an Airtable, which is essentially just like Google Sheets if you aren't familiar with Airtable. And what the Airtable is going to do is it's just going to have a list of our contacts. So you can just sign up for Airtable at airtable.com, and then you can create your list like this. So as you can see here, we've got name, Cohen, Darren, Bob, and then we have the emails for each one. So first we have to connect Airtable. So mine's already connected. If we click create new credential, we can just use the access token. So I will show you in Airtable where you find your keys. So if you go to this link in Airtable, airtable.com/create/tokens, this is where you can create your tokens that you'll use for the API. So I just created this one. It's just called test1. All you have to do is come up here and click create new token. Then you just name it. And then in scopes, you can see here in n8n, it tells you the scopes that you need. So data.records, data.records, read, write, schema bases read. Schema bases read. Add all resources. And then you just click create token. It gives you the token. You put the token in here, you click save. You'll get used to having a lot of tokens. So once your token is connected, in order for this to be used as a contacts list, you're going to want to come down here and change this from get to search. So it'll search through the list. Once you've made it in Airtable, again, very simple. Just select one. So I made it called contacts and table 1. Now we're going to rename this to contacts. Hit rename. Now we're going to go into our agent again, do this, which again, the agent reads this before it does what it needs to do. So we're going to say, use the contacts tool to determine who to send emails to. Okay, so now it will use that tool. And it's also important to come in here and turn this on to make sure that it's automatically defined by the model who it sends the emails to. So all you have to do is click this little button right here. So now that that's set, let's give that another test. Let's say ask. If you look at the table here, we have Darren and Bob. So I'm going to say ask Darren and Bob if they would like to go out to eat. Okay, I'm just going to run that. It's checking the contacts, sorting it out, sending the emails, and then sending us the response. So we go to our sent here because it's being sent from this email. We can see, hey Bob, would you like to go out to eat? And this one right here. Yeah. Hey Darren, would you like to go out to eat? This is going to the Darren Watkins one right there. So it has successfully sent it to both of them. Okay, so for the third and final tool that I'm going to show you, we're going to go here and we're going to add a Google Calendar. So we'll link our Google account. Again, it's very, very easy with Google. You just sign in. And then once we are connected here, we're just going to go in here and we're going to select our email. If you select your email, it's just the main calendar. Start and end time, we'll let the agent decide that. We'll essentially be creating meetings through the text. So now that we've done that, we're also going to come down here and add attendees. So we'll let the agent decide who's attending, and we'll also add a summary. Okay. So now that we've done that, operation, create, perfect. Okay. Now we have our Google Calendar. So I have that open right here. Let's actually first, sorry, we have to go to the AI agent and we have to say, you have to give it the time, because if it doesn't know the time, it's just going to use the time that the chat GPT was trained up until, which doesn't help us. So we have to go in here and say the current date and time is, and then we just have to use a little bit of code. So double curly bracket, $, now. Sorry, we have to switch this to expression to make this actually work. Double curly bracket, $, now. Okay. So if we open this huge here, you can see over here, date and time. It's going to process all of this to make sure that the time is correct. So now that that's all set up, let's test this out. So let's use the voice feature actually. Create a meeting with Darren and Bob tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Okay, processing. Did the calendar and has created the meeting. Let's see. There it is, 4:30 p.m. We didn't say how long it was going to be, so it just decided on its own. Meeting with Darren and Bob, and we have Bob at example.com and Darren at example.com. So we can also ask it to send a message to them to remind them of the meeting, but there's one issue here. See this Darren at example.com? The bot automatically makes the at example.com, but if we look in our contacts here, it's actually Darren Watkins at example.com. So it didn't access the contacts. So what I'm going to try to fix that is I'm going to say also use the contacts tool when scheduling meetings with the calendar tool. Okay. Let's just rename this to calendar so it knows what I'm talking about, calendar. And let's try that again. So let's go test workflow. Create a meeting tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. with Darren and Bob. Let's see if it accesses contacts this time. Interesting. It's not accessing the contacts. So if we go here, this is the wrong email. Let's try something else. If we say, when using the calendar tool, always check the contacts tool, contacts in quotations, tool first. This is important to get the emails right. Okay, let's try that again. Create a meeting tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. with Darren and Bob. Okay, it's not accessing the contacts tool. So we need to figure this out. All right, let's try without the memory. Create a meeting tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. with Darren and Bob. Now it's check the contacts tool. Let's see. Meeting with Darren and Bob, and it used the correct email. Okay, so I figured it out. So here was the problem. With the memory attached, what was happening was essentially, because before we fixed it with the contacts, it had already sent it to the wrong email. So when I asked it again, a very similar request, it just assumed the last email. So now that I've taken out the memory, everything's working just as we asked it to. So yeah, that's something that's important, is as you go, you're going to run into little issues. That's why it's important to test, and then you'll figure it out. Another tip for you guys is this AI assistant down here is really, really useful. So if you come into simple memory, for example, and I click this and I say, what is memory for? It's going to go through all the forums and it's going to look and give you help. And the reason it's so useful is it can go into what you've written and it can actually read through your workflow and give you specific results on that. Is my key all right? For example, let's see if it can read this key right here, which is test 1, 2, 3. Yeah, see? Yes, your session key test 1, 2, 3 is valid. So it's able to read through the workflow and then give you specific results or specific answers to help you out with any issues you might have. Send a message to Darren Watkins asking how his day was. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Be sure to subscribe and join my Telegram in the description for all the latest and greatest AI news. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.